Next thing I want to talk about here is our good friends, the Proud Boys. You guys all know who the Proud Boys are. They are a essentially domestic terrorist group, although they haven't officially been designated a terrorist group. Actually, no, terrorist group is a little bit too much for them. They're more of a street gang slash hate group, sort of like a neo-Nazi kind of street gang is what the Proud Boys are, under the guise of basically being quote unquote Western chauvinists. So they're essentially misogynist gangbangers who go out and act as the unofficial brown shirts for the Republican Party. That's the Proud Boys. They've been making a name for themselves. You know who they are. You know, they show up at pride events, things like that. Intimidate people, try to beat people up. They show up at Black Lives Matter rallies. They show up at events for, pro-LGBTQ events, things like drag queen story hours, that kind of thing. And they like to beat people up. They like to engage in violence. And they should be stood against and fought against. Don't be afraid of these fucking cretins, folks. They're there to fight people. I say we oblige them. But, that's just my thing. Please do not actually engage in any violence. Self-defense only is the only time you should ever engage in violence. But I still think that you should not back down. And I don't think that goes against the YouTube or Twitch terms of service there to say that you should defend yourself and not back down from bullies and white supremacists. I don't think that's against the rules. You should never instigate violence, though. And I stand by that. But still, that's what these people are. They're there to instigate violence. And they had a big hand in January 21st, 2021. The attempted coup d'etat against the United States government. And the good news is that the top leadership have all been convicted and sentenced, and those sentences came in just the other day. So Enrique Tarrio is the leader of the Proud Boys. He's a giant piece of shit. And he just got the most time of anybody connected to January 21st. He got 22 years in prison. And I gotta say, I don't feel bad about that at all. I think that's awesome. I think he should have got more time, to be honest. How old is Enrique Tarrio? Let me look that up. How old is Enrique Tarrio? He was born he's either 38 or 39. They don't know how old exactly, either 1984 or 1985. Okay, so he's, let's say, 39 years old. Let's round it up to 40. He won't get out of prison until he's 61. Good. I am happy. He should rot there for the rest of his goddamn life, as far as I'm concerned. Fuck him and everybody who thinks like him. The other leadership of the Proud Boys have all been sentenced as well. We have Joe Biggs, who was sort of like his second in command. Joe Biggs got 17 years. I think Joe Biggs is like in his 50s at least. He had a bunch of gray hair and shit. I'm not going to worry about looking him up. Another top guy was Dominic Pizzola. Dominic Pizzola was one of the only members of the top leadership of the Proud Boys who was not convicted of seditious conspiracy. And that's the reason why all these guys got so much time. And honestly, the recommendation was more. The Justice Department wanted more time for these guys because seditious conspiracy is not a joke. Seditious conspiracy is basically conspiracy to overthrow the United States government, which is what January 21st was. I read an article where they basically said legal experts were saying that they should have gotten more time, that Enrique Tarrio should have got like 50 years instead of 22 years. So they're letting these assholes off light. 22 years is light for this. Okay. And so anytime you hear Matt Gaetz or Marjorie Taylor Greene or whatever say that the January 21st arrestees are all political prisoners, please keep in mind that they're getting light sentences and that they should be being thrown in the fucking hole for the rest of their fucking lives. Just to kind of show you the kind of people these assholes are, I'm going to open up this article here for you. Let's go ahead. This is from WUSA 9. Dominic Pizzola, Proud Boy who caused first breach of Capitol, sentenced to 10 years in prison. So this is Enrique Tarrio right here, leader of the Proud Boys. If you're wondering why, hey, here's a non-white person who's a leader of a white supremacist group, and this is messing with me, how is that happening? Yes, that is true. He is a Latino person who is the leader of a white supremacist group. Please do not mistake the Proud Boys for being something they aren't. They are very much a white supremacist group. They will try to tell you that they're not because, see, we have non-white members. They are. They are. There are such things as non-white Nazis. In fact, in the Latino community, there's a growing number of Latino gang members who are aligned with white supremacism. I've actually have a couple of streams on this. It's more common south of the border. It's more common in places like Mexico and Brazil than it is here, but it is very much a thing here. Right? We can talk, that's a subject for a different time. If you want to know more, please look up, I have like 3 streams on it about non-white Nazis. It's definitely a thing. Don't let the right wing gaslight you about it. Moving down, let's read a little bit of this. Marine Corps veteran and Proud Boy who used a stolen police riot shield to cause the first breach of the U.S. Capitol on January 6th was sentenced Friday to 10 years in prison. Dominic Pizzola, 45-year-old flooring contractor from Rochester, New York, was convicted in May alongside 4 other members of the Proud Boys following a lengthy jury trial. Although jurors acquitted him of joining his co-defendant's seditious conspiracy, they convicted him on multiple other counts, including conspiring against members of Congress and law enforcement, destruction of government property, and assaulting and robbing U.S. Capitol Police Officer Mark Ode of his riot shield. Prosecutors described Pizzola as the literal poster boy for the Proud Boys conspiracy. Footage of him using Ode's shield to smash in a window on the Capitol's Senate wing, causing the first breach of the building through which hundreds of other rioters poured through, became one of the earliest and most memorable images of the riots. Before entering the building himself, Pizzola recorded a video smoking a cigar and bragging, "I knew we could take this motherfucker if we just tried hard enough." But I want to see the actual video of him smashing the window. It's right here. Here's the guy, Pizzola, smashing the window open. See, that's him right there with the beard. In their sentencing memo, prosecutors asked U.S. District Judge Timothy Kelly to sentence Pizzola to 20 years in prison. On Friday, Assistant U.S. Attorney Eric Kennerson described him as an enthusiastic foot soldier in the Proud Boys plan. See, they asked for 20 years. He got 10. So keep that in mind. If anybody's saying that, oh, this is a conspiracy and all that other shit, and that the government is making it illegal to be a conservative, that's another thing I'm starting to hear from the fucking conservachuds and shit like that, and the Christo-fascists. Oh, it's illegal to be a conservative. They're persecuting conservatives. It's like, no, this guy literally got less time than what they asked for. Right. The judge went easy on his ass. One thing I want to skip down to the bottom here. Pizzola spoke briefly before Kelly handed down his sentence Friday, tearfully asking for mercy and saying he was done with politics. "Your Honor, I stand before you as a changed and humbled man," Pizzola said, "but nonetheless as a man who has always taken responsibility for his actions. I have never denied what I did on January 6th. Minutes later, after hearing his sentence, and once Kelly had left the bench, a smiling Pizzola raised his hand as he was led out by the U.S. court marshals and shouted, "Trump won." So just to kind of show you, they'll get up in front of a judge and they'll whine and cry and be like, "I didn't mean to. I was misled. I didn't know this was happening. I'm a changed man. Please go easy on me. Boo fucking who." And then they'll turn around and scream, "Trump won." It's all an act, folks. It's all an act. Because you got to remember, these people don't have integrity. They're not looking for forgiveness. They'll lie if they think that it helps them. They'll say anything they have to fucking say in order to skirt responsibility and accountability for their actions. Because they're fascists. And this is what fascists do. Fascists take advantage of the system. In Germany, the fascists there, they were elected. They didn't take over the country through force of arms or whatever. They were elected. Mussolini was elected too in Italy. They didn't stage a coup and take over the country. These people were elected, and as soon as they got into power through legitimate means, they dismantled the ability for the state to remove them, for the people to remove them officially through state channels. Excuse me, is what I meant to say. Because they don't care about, that's the whole point of fascism, is just taking command and exploiting the state apparatus for your own personal gain. That's what it's all about. That's what being a fascist is all about, is lying, taking more for me and less for you, making laws apply only to you and not to me, and personally enriching myself, and just doing whatever it fucking takes to maintain that power balance. And that's what this guy is. Tried to exploit the court system to his advantage. And then when it didn't work, turned right around and showed his true colors. Because he was never, I'm glad they put his ass in jail. And the judge should have been harsher. The judge should have put his ass away for 30 years, not 10. Right? She should have done more than what the government asked for. Remember, Adolf Hitler was put in jail too. They tried it. There was the beer hall riots or whatever. Hitler and his band of goose-stepping fucking stormtroopers tried to actually enact a coup and were caught. The coup was stopped and Hitler was thrown in prison. And less than a decade later, he was leading the country. So this is why you can't let up on these motherfuckers. They're not just going to stop if you just let them go and be like, okay, we're just going to look forward and all that. No. They're not going to just go away and accept defeat. They'll keep fucking coming. Put them in fucking jail for good. That's what January 6th was, folks. Let's go ahead and turn this off for now. Make no mistake. January 6th was a coup attempt. It was an attempt for Donald Trump to illegally stay in power when he lost the election and was constitutionally obliged to leave. And that's what it was. And what the Proud Boys' role in that was to act as muscle. Because we know what the plan is. That's what Donald Trump got arrested for, the fake elector scheme, the Green Bay sweep, is how Peter Navarro put it. Peter Navarro, who basically just also is facing legal problems because he wouldn't go before Congress and explain what he said on national TV. But this is what it was. There were fake electors that were sent in from several key states, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and a few others. And what it was is that Pence was supposed to delay certification and say, I think there's too many open questions, I'm not going to certify. And then what they were going to do is that they were going to take those fake electors instead of the real electors, and Pence was supposed to count those. And the Proud Boys' role in this was to put pressure on Congress from the outside, was to show up, and they were never supposed to breach the Capitol. That's the thing that you're supposed to remember, right? That's where these assholes screwed up. They were just supposed to stay outside, maybe get a little rowdy outside, maybe smash some windows or something, but they were never supposed to actually burst inside and try to murder Congress like they did. They got a little too greedy. This is what the plan was. They were going to start a riot outside so that people were going crazy, so that the people inside were scared for their lives. And then certain Congress people were going to get up and object to the election, including Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley and a few others. Basically, these people who are still in charge, Matt Gaetz was another one. These people are traitors, by the way. These Congress people that I'm listing right here, the ones that were in on the plan who were going to object to the election, they're traitors. Josh Hawley and Matt Gaetz, and there's a few others. Ted Cruz was one of them. They're fucking traitors, and they should be elected. They should be arrested as well, right? Of course, you can't arrest them because they're fucking Congress people. Congress people can just get away with anything. I don't know. Once you're a congressman in this country, you can basically do whatever the fuck you want. No one will ever hold you accountable for anything. I don't understand how that shit works. But anyway, that was the plan. And they were going to object to the election. And then Pence was supposed to say, I'm not going to certify. And then we're going to have an investigation. And then they were going to certify it with the other electors, the phony baloney electors, the fake electors, who even themselves referred to themselves as being fake electors in memos and things. So they knew the shit was wrong. And then Donald Trump was going to stay in power and claim that, see, it was 100% legal. That was the plan. And the one person who didn't get arrested here, I mean, besides those Congress people, because everybody else got arrested. Donald Trump got arrested for this. In Georgia, that's what the whole, his like fourth indictment was for. So even Trump got arrested for all this stuff. All these people, Rudy Giuliani, all of his fucking lawyers, Lynn Powell, all those people, they've all been busted for this. And they're going to face trial, and God willing, they're all going to go to prison. The one guy who didn't get arrested for this, who should have, is Roger Stone. Because Roger Stone appears to be the link between the Proud Boys and the Trump administration. He was hanging out with them, basically, like, and we know he was hanging out with the Proud Boys. We know he was hanging out with Enrique Tarrio and all that, because there was a film crew following Roger Stone around filming a documentary. And so we have evidence that he was coordinating with the Proud Boys. They just must not have enough evidence to actually arrest him. I don't know why. I bet you if they were to look at Roger Stone's phone calls and see who he was calling in the days leading up to January 6th and immediately after, I would bet my left fucking testicle that they would find that he was coordinating with the Trump campaign. Right? Because it's too much of a coincidence, you know? And, you know, I understand, yeah, I don't have evidence of this, so I can't say this definitively. This is just my own conspiracy theory. This is all speculation. I'm not saying that this actually happened. But it's just, there's too much of a coincidence. Why the fuck was he hanging out with Proud Boys when he was, like, in bed with the Trump administration? Like, and how come as soon as January 6th failed, he hightailed it out of town, thinking that he was going to get arrested? That's what Roger Stone did. Like, the day after, he, like, bailed out of town, like, escaped and shit, thinking that it was over and that he was going to have to, like, set up an alibi and all this crap. I guess they just don't have enough evidence for him. I guess that's what it is. I guess they just haven't chosen to investigate him, or maybe he's, like, covered his fucking tracks a little bit better. I don't know. But in my opinion, that motherfucker should be at the very least investigated. Because it just smells too fishy for me. So I'm glad these motherfuckers went to prison. They should throw them in jail for even longer. And God willing, if there actually is a God out there, Donald Trump should be in fucking jail too. Alright? And I still can't fucking believe that people have forgotten this shit. If you look at the polling between Donald Trump and Biden, for example, they're like neck and neck. How the fuck is that even happening? How is that happening? We all saw what happened on January 6th. The rioters show up, Donald Trump refused to do anything about it. Now we've got evidence that fucking they planned this shit from the beginning. That it was very much a fucking coup. And it's like 42% of voters both ways. I don't understand that shit. And here's the thing, right? I'm pretty confident that Biden is going to beat Trump again. Pretty confident. And the reason why I say that is because nobody who voted for Biden in 2020 is going to turn around and vote for Trump in 2024. Nobody's going to do that. Are you really going to do that? You voted for the reason why people voted for Joe Biden was to specifically vote against Donald Trump. 4 years, do you think people are going to be like, oh yeah, I think Trump's the right way to go now? No. I don't think that's going to happen, right? I think maybe, though, there may be enough people flip in key states to where Trump could conceivably win the electoral college. That is very much a fear. And for whatever reason, maybe enough people in those states died of COVID. Maybe they just managed to sour Biden enough for enough votes, because they only need something like 40,000 votes across 3 key states in order to win. And there's lots of different reasons why that happens. Maybe they managed to change people's minds in those 4 states. Maybe they enact some kind of restrictive voting law saying that no more mail-in ballots or something. Only in those states, and that stops enough people from voting. It could be all kinds of shit. Don't think that Biden has it in the bag in 2024. No, there's a very good chance that a 4-time indicted felon who tried to steal the election, to try to not just steal the election, but tried to murder his own vice president and murder Congress and enact a coup d'etat. There's a very good chance that this bona fide dyed-in-the-wool fascist might actually become president again. God fucking help us if that happens. The rule of law is important, especially when it comes to who's in charge. I very, very much hope so, that cooler heads prevail and Donald Trump ends up in prison. Will the Republicans still support his ass, even if he's running for president from a fucking jail cell? I don't know. I don't think so. I think that might be a bridge too far even for them, but wackier things have happened over the last 5 years or so. So we live in the worst timeline, folks.
Hello folks, if you like what I do and you want to support the channel, please consider buying something from my Etsy shop, supporting me on Patreon, liking and subscribing, and checking me out across my social media links listed below. Thank you all so much, and see you next time.